Joe Biden's presidency is in full-scale collapse. Whether it's his crashing approval rating, the vaccine mandates going down in flames, or the kibosh being put on the Build Back Better agenda, the last several weeks have not been kind at all. During Joe Biden's nationally televised conniption fit yesterday, he was asked about his litany of failures and what the next steps would be. That led him to introduce a Plan B, in which he'd break up his agenda into, as they say, chunks. It was very interesting watching how quickly all the Beltway propagandists adopted that description from old Grandpa Joe. They are his little minions, now aren't they? Quote, "I think we can break the package up, get as much as we can now and come back and fight for the rest later," Biden told reporters. Quote, "There's two really big components that I'm feeling strong about that I'm not sure I can get in the package. One is the child care tax credit, and the other is help for the cost of community colleges," unquote. Okay, so for starters, that's not how reconciliation works. The bites of the apple are limited, which is something Nancy Pelosi points out, though she didn't name the president for obvious reasons. You see, Democrats can't break Build Back Better up into 6 or 7 smaller bites and pass them one by one unless they have Republican support, and there's no scenario where that's forthcoming in an election year. So if the logistics of Biden's proposal weren't unworkable enough, Joe Manchin came flying in off the top ropes and immediately shut the idea down. Now, in doing so, he twisted the knife even deeper by saying that his previous proposal, which progressives of course loaded up with abortion funding and other Manchin red lines, is no longer even on the table. The worst week ever, I think, is quickly turning into the worst month ever for old Lunch Bucket Joe. Now, before we go any further, let's take a quick commercial break to pay some bills. Do you have a personal butcher? I certainly don't. Well, until now. I introduced to you the Personal Butcher. They offer you the highest quality meats by partnering with best-in-class farms located in the United States. Okay, so here's how it works. They'll send you a custom box every 4 weeks, and you can pause or cancel at any time, or just change the frequency of deliveries. The Personal Butcher believes that quality meat shouldn't be a hassle to get your hands on. They want every home in America to have access to the best quality, and with the same convenience as getting the mail from your mailbox. So let's talk quality. They offer the best quality products raised here in the United States. Grass-fed beef, free-range chicken, anabolic-free pork. Their meat is 100% raised, processed, packed, and shipped in the United States. It's processed from family farms in Idaho, Montana, and Iowa. It's then packaged and shipped out of their Chicagoland area distribution center. So if you're interested in feeding yourself and your family from a high-quality source you can trust, while at the same time supporting this channel, give the Personal Butcher a try by hitting that link in the description box. Okay, so Manu Raju of CNN tweeted out, "Just caught up with Manchin, who set a very high bar for passing chunks," see, there's that word again, of Build Back Better plan. In short, he wants to see inflation, COVID, and the national debt dealt with first. Also said, they'll be starting from scratch, and his December offer isn't on the table. Now, what stuck out to me here was that Manchin's demands before he'll deal with Build Back Better are unattainable, at least prior to the 2022 election. There is no possibility that the White House can fix the inflation issue this year. Likewise, COVID will continue to linger, and the national debt is a colossal problem that will take generations to deal with. And that's assuming any politician even takes up the task, something most have been ducking for decades. You're probably picking up on where I'm going with this by now. Manchin is clearly running out the clock at this point. He knows that by this time next year, Republicans will be in control of the House, and of course the Senate as well. Every single time Democrats cave to him, he just throws up another obstacle. It's too obvious to ignore that he keeps pulling the rug out from under his own damn party. Kind of funny and ironic that Democrats would gladly take his compromise package at this point, but he's pulled it off the table completely. Clearly, if Manchin wanted to pass something, there'd be a deal by now. He knows that what's best for him is for nothing to get done. Now, past that, there are the delicious fruits of Democrats trashing Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema publicly for the last several months, with some going so far as to accuse them of racism. Now, maybe in some alternate universe where the White House and the progressive douchebags remain civil, maybe Manchin gave them some scraps. But he has no incentive to do that now. Not electorally, and certainly not personally.
Then Biden bragged about himself, as he tends to do whenever he's awake. Can you think of any other president who's done so much in a year? He asked at one point. How do you respond to a question like that? Biden didn't wait for the answer. Instead, he got mad at a reporter who dared ask him about COVID. Watch.
Did you overpromise to the American public what you could achieve in your first year in office? And how do you plan to course correct going forward?
Why are you such an optimist? Look, I didn't overpromise, but I have probably outperformed what anybody thought would happen.
I outperformed. Well, it's true, actually. Outperformed, meaning more Americans have died from corona on my watch than under evil anti-science Cheeto Man, which isn't easy, you dog-faced pony soldier. Stick that in your hat and smoke it. It got weirder from there. Biden talked about his so-called voting rights legislation, which only Nazis oppose. Without that legislation, the next election will almost certainly be fraudulent, rigged, illegitimate, stolen. See how that works? If you complain about an election after the fact, you're an insurrectionist. The Justice Department may indict you for sedition. But if you complain about an election ahead of time, preemptively, then you're a civil rights leader. There's a difference, Mr. Man. Learn it, love it, live it. Biden went on to boast under his steady, wise leadership, peasants in this country have gotten, quote, raises. Now, he didn't mention that inflation has already eaten those raisins in a single bite, and next year's raises too, though no one in the press corps bothered to ask anyway. Biden did allow that there are some Americans who are, quote, frustrated and fatigued, but that is not his fault. It's COVID's fault, a disease created by unvaccinated Trump voters and not, we want to be clear about this, not created by his family's longtime patrons in the government of China. They had nothing to do with it. You did it. In any case, the solution, Biden explained, is more testing and more shots. That's why he plans to send a COVID test to every American household and force every last holdout to get the vax.
When people, the hospitalizations are overrunning hospitals, and you have docs and nurses out because of COVID, they have COVID. We put thousands of people back in those hospitals. Look at all the military personnel we have there, first responders. Nobody has ever organized. Nobody has ever organized a strategic operation to get as many shots in arms by opening clinics and being able to get so many people vaccinated. What I'm doing now is not just getting significant amounts of vaccines to the rest of the world, but they now need the mechanical way is how they get shots in arms. So we're providing them the know-how to do that.
How many prepositions were slaughtered in those paragraphs you just heard? We lost count. But here's the headline, and you've never heard a president brag about this. We put soldiers in the hospitals, Biden said. That's a win. So next time you get a prostate exam, rest easy. Men with guns are there. There's no reason to be afraid. But Biden's not stopping with that accomplishment. There's more to do. Joe Biden's next goal is to vaccinate all 8 billion people in the world by force if necessary. And of course, we may need soldiers for that, too.
I would hope that what happens is the rest of the world does what I'm doing and provides significant amounts of the vaccine to the rest of the world, because it's not sufficient that we just have this country not have the virus or be able to control the virus, but that we can't build a wall high enough to keep a new variant out. So it requires, one of the things that I want to do, and we're contemplating figuring out how to do, we are contemplating how to get done, and that is, how do we move in a direction where the world itself is vaccinated?
The whole world. Those damn Africans better start taking the shots, because walls don't work. You build a bigger wall, they just build a bigger virus. That's what the president said. If you take 3 steps back, it's kind of amusing in a sad way. Here you have daffy old Joe Biden still yammering on about vaccines. Get your 3rd shot, or no hot dogs for you. That's an order. But actually, as he's been in seclusion in Delaware, the rest of the world has moved beyond orders. No one is listening to Joe Biden anymore. He is weak. He commands no respect. The world no longer cares what he says.
If you liked it, hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't. Leave a comment down below. There's a PayPal link in the description box, so please put $1 in the bucket on the way out the door. I'd like to thank everyone for all your donations. They're much needed and much appreciated. Now, with all that being said, we'll see you next time.
Let's go, Brandon.
Let's go, Brandon. I agree.
Come on, move. Move. Easy, easy.